guys remind us of taking photography during the show. I think what you're going to see here tonight is some great stuff. Our kids have worked tirelessly for the last 7.5 weeks. We'll talk about that a little bit more after the show when we honor our seniors. But I want to make sure you guys understand that everything you see here tonight is 100% factual. It was based on a true story set in the 1920s. So everything you see here tonight actually happened. The names they use are true. The situations are real. And I think that's what brings it home even more about how dramatic and how exceptional this group of girls were. So with all of that being said, I please hope you sit back and relax and enjoy the closing night performance of the Radium Girls.
So much light, daylight, all the time. And on really sunny days, you almost felt like you were sitting outside. It was that bright.
That surprised you, Grace?
It was a factory. I thought it would be dark and dirty.
Then why go to work there?
I was 15. It was time to pay her away.
Pay her away? What about school?
Oh, I didn't miss it so much. The girls were all so nice and the work wasn't hard. It wasn't like factory work, really. It was more like art. Painting those tiles. We were artists.
I'm not the one you should be talking to. Von Sashaki, he's the one you should talk to.
Now, Arthur, you know he won't talk to us.
It was his process.
Tell me about that process, Arthur. You used a powder.
We used a powder. The girls would mix it with an adhesive to make the paint. But that business with the brushes, now, I didn't create that. They were doing that when it started there.
But you knew about it.
We all knew about it. We just didn't know what it meant.
Irene, in here. Irene, what are you doing?
Shut the door. Amalia's working inspection today.
Is that bad? Not for us.
She's gonna be in this room all day, by herself, in the dark, checking dials.
Poor thing.
Poor thing.
So we're gonna give her a little surprise.
Boo, like the Cheshire Cat.
Oh, won't that make her mad?
Let her get mad.
That's half the fun. I don't want to make her mad.
Oh, Grace, do you have to be that way about everything?
What way?
Your teeth, Grace. Put some on your teeth.
It ain't like Amalia don't deserve it.
She paints more dolls here than any girl on the floor. And can't be bothered to talk to nobody either. You say, Amalia, what's new? She just looks at you funny.
I don't think she can speak much English.
Wouldn't kill her to smile, would it? She's coming. Get the lights! Oops, Mrs. McNeil. Paint your faces. Have you gone off your minds? It was just a joke. Just a joke? A joke like that can lose a girl her job.
Mrs. McNeil, surely that's not necessary.
I don't tolerate your foolishness, Doctor.
Yeah, very good. Foolishness, we don't want to do. Mr. Eden, this is the inspection of the dials coming in that are painted. These are some of the girls who should on some floor be working. Girls, this is Mr. Reader, my new vice president and your new plant manager.
And I was just telling Mr. Reader what a fine bunch of girls we have here. I'm sure now you must think I'm halfway out of my mind.
Mr. Reader, perhaps you have some words for the girls? Mr. Reader.
Well, girls, this paint that you've been playing with, it's very expensive. You realize that? It takes several tons of ore to produce 1 single gram of radium. And that's a lot of work. Hard work for the men in the extraction plant. Now they do this work gladly. You understand why. Why they work so hard. What we're all working for.
The war?
That's right, the war. The dials you paint save lives, girls. Our boys in the field depend on them to see through the dark, no mistaking what they see. Otherwise, some of those boys wouldn't be coming home. So, if you want to not take this work seriously, playing around, well, you're playing into the hands of the Kaiser. We don't want that, do we?
No, sir.
All right, let's get back to work and leave the tomfoolery at home. Keep this in mind. If you do right by us, we'll do right by you.
May 17, 1921. Nancy Jane Harlan, the New York Graphic. The New York Graphic's only girl reporter.
Jack Youngwood here, for the New York Ledger, your first source for news.
Madame Marie Curie, eminent French scientist, embarks on a whistle-stop tour of the United States.
First stop, New York City, where she's greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of well-wishers.
The High Priestess of Science travels to Washington to receive 1 gram of radium, valued at $100,000.
Purchased from her by the Mary Curie Radium Club, an association made up of 100,000 American women.
Who each donated $1 for the humanitarian research of radium.
Grace, over here. Irene, look. I got my certificate. The Marie Curie Radium Club.
You paid $1?
It's all for science.
Science? What about my room and board?
Oh, look. There she is.
Welcome all, welcome all. I must ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, please limit your questions. Madame Curie is about to embark on an exhaustive tour of the country and is under strict doctor's orders to rest. Although, in the typical fashion of a scientist who can only think of her research, her life's work, she has refused to rest.
Madame Curie, what will you do with the radium?
Eh?
What will you do with the radium?
It will continue my experiments to find better methods for the treatment of the cancer.
Is radium the cure for all cancer?
Cure the cancer? Yes, cure the cancer. That is so. It's already cured all kinds of the cancer.
Well, some doctors dispute that.
Since they do not understand the method, there is no question radium will cure the cancer.
Madame Curie,
Madame Curie.
Madame Curie, how have you managed to devote yourself both to science and your children?
It has not been easy, but my daughters share my gratitude for the American women and their interest in science and my work. I am most grateful.
Madame Curie.
Madame Curie.
Madame Curie.
No more questions. Madame Curie is on a tight schedule. Mrs. Andrew Carnegie has sent for a car and will escort Dr. Curie personally, as will I, to Washington, where President Harding will present the gift, 1 gram of radium.
You see that, Charlie? That's a marketing opportunity. Let's send her one of our customers' watches. Courtesy, United States Radium Corporation.
We'll need a press release.
Radium isn't just for scientists to study. The average American can share in its glory every night. Luminous watches, luminous clocks. Anyone who thinks that these are just novelties, consider all the other inventions that have taken place in the last 50 years. The telegraph,
The telephone.
the automobile. Inventions all once dismissed as novelties, as toys.
Are now essentials to modern day life. Got it. That also sells some watches.
Well, watches absolutely, but that's not where the growth is. I mean, you heard the lady. It's in the medical market.
And Standard Chemical owns it.
Only because Von Sashaki lets them have it. If we wanted, we could get half their business. It's just a matter of positioning.
Standard Chemical publishes its own journal and sends out monthly to over 12,000 doctors. We could do something similar.
Something scholarly that doctors would respect.
A bibliography listing every article ever published on radium.
Yes, except with capsule reports to save the doctor's time. They'll find the information, get it fast.
Have us to thank for it.
We'll send it to every doctor in the U.S. Radium Society.
Every doctor in the American Medical Association.
That's the spirit, Charlie. Advertising. That's the wave of the future. It's not just the product, it's the way we promote it.
You should have seen it, Grace. The church was filled with flowers, lilies and carnations and orchids. You know how Amalia loved orchids.
They weren't orchids.
They were orchids, Irene.
Bless. Orchids. I know an orchid when I see one. Purple orchids. And that smell. Oh, Grace, that smell. What was it like? Like flowers?
No. It was like heaven. I was gonna say it was like heaven. Like heaven? Catherine, it was just a funeral. You make it out like some Valentino picture.
It wasn't just a funeral. It was Amalia's. It was beautiful. You should have seen it.
The company sent a big spray of flowers too. Carnations, mums, yellow carnations. Those were mums.
Well, it sounds like a nice service anyhow.
Girls, what's this party about? Now then, I received my new instructions for the day. We're going back to the old way of paint the brushes. We use too much paint in the cloth.
But
Yes, Grace, something you wish to say?
Dr. Bonsanchaki told me not to do that. He said that it's unsanitary.
Unsanitary. We could hardly believe he'd say such a thing. We've been doing that as long as I've been here. You must have heard him wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not to get new brushes till you're done with you. And they got to be so bad they can't make a point no more.
Can't make a quota like that.
Well, you'll try your best, since I have my instructions.
I need a new brush.
It's not for us to be asking questions, is it? It's for us to do the work.
I have my instructions, girls. I have my instructions.
Here's an instruction for you, McNeil. Let some of the starch out of your corset.
Was she at the service?
Mrs. McNeil, you think she'd cross the street for her own mother? Most everybody else was, though. You was about the only girl from the floor who wasn't there.
I wanted to come, but Ma was working and I had to watch the little ones.
You could have brought them.
All 7?
Well, if it was me, I'd have tried to get there. Just lay off. Gracie is bad as it is.
Were many of the fellows there?
Oh yeah, lots of fellows from downstairs. Mr. Raw from the front office, Dr. Bonsanchaki was there too, and Mr. Reader. And he left early, so he was there just the same. Oh, and Grace, you know that fellow from Crystallizing? What's his name? The one with the red hair. He was there. You know who I mean?
Oh, the tall fella with the freckles.
That's the one. He snaps his fingers all the time.
George.
Jerry. I think it's George. It's Jerry. Jerry Mallon. He's the one who was always talking to Amalia in the day room. That's right. But Grace, when Mass is over, he goes up to the coffin, and he goes like this. Like this he goes. No. Yes. Really? Really? Oh, for pity's sake. Well, he did. No one could believe it. So what if he did? So what? He was in love with her. That's so what? Don't you think so, Grace?
Well, I guess he had to be, if he did that.
And can you imagine? Can you imagine if he loved her and never told her? Could never bring himself to say? Because she was so beautiful, and he was so shy. And now it's too late. It's too late, and the love is forever thwarted. He never told her, and now he'll never get a chance. Ever again.
Poor Amalia.
Poor Amalia. Poor kid. Her family took it awful bad, Grace. Albina, Kinta, everybody. Every one of them was there crying. Even her father was crying. I've never seen a man cry before, and not like that. Just bawling like a baby.
And you know why, too? Because their daughter had just died?
What she died from. Don't go spreading stories. It's not a story. Albina told us. No reason why Grace shouldn't know.
Know what? Know what? Amalia?
Ain't it awful? Albina said their father's fit to be tied to. 6 girls at home and ain't none of them ever going to a dance ever again. All because Amalia upped and died from syphilis. I can't help it if that's what she died from.
You don't know that for sure.
It's on the death certificate. Anemia and complications of syphilis.
But Amalia was ever so nice.
Guess she got around more than we knew.
Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe the doctor made a mistake.
Come on.
He could have got it wrong. Doctors are wrong sometimes.
She's right. Doctors were wrong about Aunt Ivy. What's Mama got to do with it? Irene, don't you remember? Up until the the day she died, doctor said Aunt Ivy would be just fine. They said, take a cup of tea, get a good night's rest. 2 days later, we were taking her to the Rosedale Cemetery.
Girls, the gentlemen are here to make an announcement.
Thank you, Mrs. McNeil. Girls, we're here to put a few rumors to rest.
And to explain some changes, yeah?
Yes, as I'm sure some of you have heard, Dr. Von Sashaki is stepping down.
And I wanted to take this time to make one goodbye. And Mr. Inez, I so kindly consent. I've known many of you since you were little girls. Coming here during the war, working ever so hard, day after day at the bench. 200, 300, some of you 500 hours a day. So exciting to be part of our work. From this company I start in my own kitchen, mixing up the paint. I knew I had discovered something miraculous, something to make life better, easier even. But now, what do I read? More and more uses are there for the radio. More than I ever dreamed possible.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Now, girls, the doctor is a very busy man. He must be on his way. Let's wish him best of luck in his new business ventures. Very well then, girls.
And, Mr. Reader, let us good luck wish to you as well. Up to the plate he steps us up. No company president. Our congratulations to you.
Thank you.
When Mr. Reader first came to us some 4 years ago now, I saw him man of great effort.
Thank you.
And great ambition.
Yes, thank you.
Little did I but guess the direction this ambition would take, but one of the things that makes this country so great is the opportunity it provides to young men and his friends.
And so, girls.
And so, ladies, let us the very best wish to Mr. Reader in the new direction he intends the company to take.
New direction?
To slow down in dial painting,
Now,
and
Doctor.
to movement of business into the medical market. There's going to be lots of changes, yeah?
What the doctor is referring to, some of our larger customers are setting up their own dial painting studios.
Which means less work for our girls here.
In the short run, things may be slower. However, the Waterbury Clock Company in Connecticut will need help with setting up its new studio. We were going to make this announcement next week. I guess we'll make it now. Mrs. McNeil,
We'll be sending some of you girls out there.
now the work is supervisory in nature, which means more pay. You have some girls in mind?
Yes. Louise Conlon, Sarah Deutsch, Leanne McCarthy, and Catherine Shaw. I have the entire list downstairs. I'll post it today.
Wonderful. Well, as we're on the clock, we'll leave you to your work.
Ladies, I wish the very best for you.
Let's back to work with you girls.
You gonna do it, Catherine? You gonna take the
Would
job?
you, Grace? Would you go to Connecticut?
Oh, I don't know. It's awful far from home. Tommy would have a fit.
Come on, Grace. I mean, it could be fun. Couldn't it be fun, Irene? Well, Irene.
Irene, honey, are you alright?
Huh? Yeah, why? What?
Your mouth. It's bleeding.
$35 a week. And she quits the place.
More like the money.
That's what you say when you're young, Tom. You and Grace between my age, with the house full of your kids underfoot. You'll thank God for every penny you put by.
Oh, we got money put by.
Oh yeah? How much?
Not to get married on.
Don't take much to get married on. How about to stay married on?
You let us get married. We'll find out.
Are you still eating, Tommy?
Yeah, it's good.
You're gonna get fat.
He needs to keep up his strength. He works hard for his money.
Don't start, Mom.
I didn't say say nothing. It's your father who hit the roof over it.
He didn't hit the roof.
You should have seen the man's face, Tom, when he found out Grace wasn't working no more. Most girls would give their eye teeth for a job like that. Good money, easy work, nice looking fellas around the plant.
Didn't tell me about them, Grace.
Weren't that many of them. Hardly seemed worth the mention.
And she leaves it all behind, for reasons unknown. I'm tired of it up there, she says. Are you tired of the paycheck, I says. Who needs a paycheck? I got a boyfriend to take me out on Saturdays.
She said that.
You know I didn't. And for your information, I got a job. I started the bank on Monday.
Oh, the bank. And what's it pay?
Enough.
Enough. Always enough. You know what that means, Tom. It don't come close to what it pays at the radium plant.
It's office work.
Office work, which means you'll be spending more money on clothes then.
Boy, she really steamed at you.
I don't see what difference it makes. So long as I'm working somewhere.
Don't make no difference to me. I just thought you liked it up there.
Sure, I liked it. I worked there for 4 years.
So, I've been delivering mail for about 8 years now. I keep planning to deliver mail for another 20, 30 years. If I'm lucky, nothing like steady work and a good pension to help you sleep at night.
I don't have a pension, and I sleep just fine.
Yeah, I bet you do. Talk to me quick, Grace.
Lots of girls are quitting. Work is slow. Besides, since Irene left, it's just not as much fun. And wouldn't you rather have a girlfriend that works in a bank?
Not as much as I like to have a wife, but don't work anywhere.
Close your eyes. I got a surprise.
Yeah, you want me to go pull the shades?
Not that kind of surprise. Now close your eyes. Now look,
Wallpaper?
for the baby's room.
Baby's room? You won't give me a kiss and you're talking about babies?
There's gonna be babies eventually, Tommy.
Oh, sure, Grace. But you know, most girls, they get married before they start playing the nursery.
Plan ahead for once. Pick one.
They're both the same.
No, they're not. This one has big flowers, and that one has little flowers. So pick one.
Is this some kind of test?
No, it's just wallpaper, Tommy.
It is some kind of test.
Pick one.
That one.
Really?
The other one then.
Which do you like, though?
They're both nice.
This one's pretty, don't you think?
That one then.
But I want you to like it, too.
Grace, if you like it, I'll like it. Wallpaper's wallpaper.
No, it's not. You gotta pick something you can stand to look at for 20 years.
Yeah, same way you pick a woman.
Keep that up, smarty pants. You will never get that kiss.
Fine. That one. Hands down.
I like it, too. A nice neutral yellow. Goes with either a boy or a girl. And until the baby comes, you can use the room for other things.
Yeah, like what?
Like a painting studio, maybe?
Painting studio, maybe. Didn't you get this painting done at work?
Not the kind I wanted to do, Tommy. When I was in school, I used to paint watercolors. Ever since I went to work, I haven't had the time. Well, with watching the kids and helping Mom. Once we get married, I just want some time. Just a little time to myself. So I could do watercolors. Or oils. Maybe portraits in oils. I can paint your picture if you'd like.
Sure. Paint a big picture of me. We'll go hang in the outhouse just so our friends can come by and use the can so they can look at it.
The way you talk sometimes.
Grace. You want to paint pictures, paint pictures. I ain't gonna stop you.
You say that now, Tommy. But once we're married, you'll change your tune.
Yeah, sure, I'll be whistling Dixie.
When do you come home some night? All worn out. Some Christmas maybe. When everyone on your routes had 3 times the mail. And maybe some dog took after you. And some old lady kept you waiting on her stoop telling you can't talk. I know you. So you come home, all cranky and late, hungry, wanting your dinner. And there I am, with my easel set up in the kitchen, a drop cloth on the ground, and my paint all over the table. And your dinner, nowhere in sight. What would you say then?
Better be a picture of me you're painting.
I know what you'd say. Where's my dinner? That's what you'd say. Where's my dinner?
Well, sure. I'd still admire the paint, just rather look on a full stomach as well. So how'd I do, Grace? Pick the right one?
I don't know. Maybe I'll go look at stripes.
Stripes, polka dots, I don't care, Grace. I just want for us to be together. I'm sick of waiting, and you're plenty old enough. We'll just tell your mom that we ain't waiting no more, and we'll run off.
Tommy, we're not gonna run off. We're gonna do this right. A nice church wedding, flowers and music, and then a week at the seashore. Just us. After that, we'll get set up in our own place. You'll see. It'll be worth the wait.
Mouth pick me, Grace?
Yeah. The dentist wants to pull another tooth. In the back.
What's it take?
Hazel Kuster. Any connections to the others?
Only by virtue of employment.
Except she's got a good lawyer.
Knows how to write a good letter anyway. That lawyer.
She no longer works here.
About 6 months ago.
This makes 4 now.
3.
4 if you count the magic girl.
I would include her.
She worked here.
She worked other places too. What she died from, you can't pick up here. At least, I don't think you can.
That isn't funny, Charlie. And besides, that's just the idle talk.
In my experience, there's usually something to the idle talk when it comes to girls like that.
From a large family, wasn't she?
Italians. The conditions they live in. 10, 12 people living in 3 rooms. Someone else died from one infection or another.
So 3 then. And how many dead?
Only the magic girl, but I haven't heard from her people.
It's too late for them anyway. The statute of limitations is 2 years. Miss Kuster is a different story. She's in a position to make some trouble now.
And all the time I've worked here, no one has so much as slipped on the floor. And now this?
We're talking about 4 girls. How many hundreds we've hired?
600, 700 over the years?
And some of them were sick when they got here. One girl they hired was a complete cripple. Couldn't even climb the stairs. Her father had to carry her up to the studio every morning.
Didn't make a difference to me how she got up the stairs. She was a fast worker and a very sweet little girl.
But she wasn't poor health.
She needed the work.
Arthur, Charlie.
And not just for the money, Charlie. To feel important. To have a purpose. That's what work does. It gives us a purpose. I don't see any reason why we should stop hiring girls like that.
When they get sick and try to blame us for it, you might want to reconsider your policy.
See what Dr. Drinker has to say.
Dr. Drinker?
Some professor at the Harvard School of Industrial Hygiene.
He chairs the department. And he's agreed to take a look at our operations.
Don't you think we're jumping the gun a bit? Hiring them?
We've had 6 girls quit in the last week. And Mrs. McNeil tells me there could be more.
Girls come and go all the time.
Yeah, but it's never been like this. These girls are terrible.
Yeah,
Gotta get something calm.
and letting Drinker examine them? Sounds to me like a recipe for mass hysteria.
I'll tell them it's a routine physical. Edward?
Companies have physicals all the time.
One. And Drinker will start next month.
In the meantime, I recommend you make Miss Kuster an offer.
Settle?
There's no proof her problems are connected to us.
If she sues, believe me, you won't like the publicity it brings, and neither will your investors.
You think this will affect stock offerings?
Don't you?
Why don't we just open at 30 and close at 10?
Or not open at all.
What if we gave this girl something to keep her quiet?
Be a condition of the summer.
Maybe we better do it.
No. Suppose this lawyer has a racket. He finds sick girls and tricks them into making cases. Then we reward him for his larceny?
Unless Miss Kuster genuinely believes she got sick here.
It can be like Charlie said. She's from a large immigrant family. Not well educated, not a lot of resources.
A few $100s would make a big difference to a girl like that.
Certainly. Pay a few doctor's bills, buy some medicine. From the sounds of that letter, I don't think the girl has long to live anyway.
So it'd be a gesture of decency then.
Exactly.
Well, what do you suppose we should offer?
March 24th, 1924, Jack Elwood here for the New Word Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic, the New York Graphic's only Grove reporter.
Could radium water pose a cure for crippling arthritis? Scientific studies show a connection.
Dateline, Orange, New Jersey. Radium water products offer a miracle cure for crippling arthritis.
Some patients report significant abatement in their symptoms,
Mrs. Jeremy Michaels in the Bronx tells how radium water products have transformed her life.
My pain got so bad, I could hardly bend over.
while others reported only mild relief.
This poor, brave young woman could hardly bend over to kiss her little ones goodnight.
And I got 3 of them. Let me tell you, they are an animal.
Dr. Harrison Martin, the chief medical examiner of Essex County, commented on the study. Preliminary at best. Your recommendations, Dr. Martin? I advise further study. Further study.
Then Mrs. Michaels tried Radivor.
They said it would help my rheumatism, so I drank a bottle a day for a month. Wasn't cheap, but I was desperate.
The test sample is questionably small.
Well, first off, I felt like I'd been hit by a bolt of lightning. It was that powerful. Now I drink a bottle a week just to maintain my health. Hang laundry and scrub the kitchen floor, same way I always done.
Dr. William J. Bailey of Orange, inventor of Radithor, reports high demand for his product.
Dr. William Bailey of Orange announces sales of Radivor exceed 100,000 cases worldwide.
Radioactivity is one of the most remarkable agents of medical science. I drink Radithor myself, and I can vouch for its power.
A bottle a day? $1 a bottle?
Worth every penny.
Yes, indeed. I myself was a pitcher of lethargy before I discovered the amazing, revitalizing qualities of radium water. Now look at me. I'm nearly 50 years old, but I have the energy of a man in his 30s.
You rather look like a man in his 30s.
Well, thanks.
A testament to the tonic's potency, or to the seller's creativity.
Radithor. It is perpetual sunshine.
Or a perpetual money-making machine for its inventor.
Is there no end to what science can do?
Maybe we should have made an appointment.
Don't need no appointment.
But it's a busy place, Catherine. If you don't have an appointment, maybe you should make one.
I shouldn't need no appointment for this.
I'm sorry, I don't mind being in the shop.
No, it's under Rudolph.
Rudolph?
The girl I'm asking after, Irene Rudolph.
Did she file the complaint?
No, the dentist did.
The dentist?
Dr. Neff, Irene's dentist. She said she might have flossy jaw. She's going to complain to the health department about it, but when I asked her, she hadn't heard nothing, and it's been more than 6 months now.
Sausage off, you say?
Oh, yes!
Catherine, it could have been like your doctor said. A blood infection.
Yeah, but what gave it to her? That's the thing. What was it from?
From dirt. You get infections from dirt.
From dirt? Her face puffed up like a pumpkin. Her jaw rotted so bad she couldn't eat nothing. You think you get something like that from a little dirt? You get it from phosphorus. They're telling everyone it's radium in that paint, but it's really phosphorus that makes it glow.
Oh, honestly, Catherine, you can't really believe that.
You saw her, Grace.
Catherine, it feels like you said. They wouldn't have let you work up there in the first place.
Sure, they'd shut the place down.
Shut it down? Who? Who's gonna shut it down?
I don't know, the county?
Honestly, Grace, you're such a ninny.
Hey,
How are they gonna shut it down if they don't know about it? Ever think of that?
now come on.
It's alright, Tony.
It's not alright. She's got no business talking to you that way.
She's just upset.
Upset? She's gone completely around the bend. She probably thinks they're dumping arsenic in the drinking water. Next, it'll be they're kidnapping babies using the stove furnace.
Go ahead and laugh. You won't be laughing so hard once you come in here 6 months from now asking after Grace.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Catherine, it's just a toothache.
Yeah? That's how it started for Irene. Just a toothache. You wait, Grace. You wait. One morning you'll wake up, your gums hurting so bad you won't be able to open your mouth. So weak and sick you won't be able to stand
Stop
up.
it, Catherine.
It's so bad you won't be able to sleep and your face so swollen you won't be able to
I
stand
said stop it! Grace is fine.
That's it.
She worked at the Radium Girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing.
Huh?
The company is in full compliance with all state health and labor regulations. The only
Let me see this.
Really?
Who's Miss Young? So paint is a harmless compound of zinc and radium?
As I was saying, the analysis shows there's no phosphorus in the paint. There's no phosphorus anywhere in the plant.
Here, you see, Catherine?
Miss Young toured the plant herself. She found nothing amiss. I'm sorry.
Well, guess we can go get some lunch then.
I'm gonna file another complaint.
They already did an investigation.
I wanna file another complaint!
Catherine, these folks, they're awful busy here.
I wanna file another complaint.
I just don't see what good this is gonna do. Making such a fuss this way?
Grace. 3 surgeries. They wanted to cut her again. She finally said no. She knew what was left of her jaw was rotted so bad. The smell was terrible. And Grace, the worst of it is, I couldn't look at her. Irene was so afraid of being alone. And I left her alone. When she died, it was in the middle of the night. And no one was with her.
I'm sorry, but could we have another floor? My friend would like to file another complaint.
Another complaint? Is the girl still sick?
No. She died.
Wait right here.
Harriet? Harriet, come down from that tree at once!
I'm waiting for Papa.
Fine. When he gets here, I'll send him up after you.
There he is! Papa!
Harriet!
Harriet, come down at once.
Papa, I can see clear to the church.
Can you? Do you see your grandfather?
No, but I see this full house.
You think this is funny?
She's enjoying herself.
Harriet!
I'll tell you what. She doesn't have anyone to yell to. She won't yell.
They can hear her all over the neighborhood.
Can they?
When she comes down from there, I want you to speak with her.
She's 9 years old, Diane.
I'm trying to raise a daughter. Son.
Well, time's on your side there. In a few years, she's not going to want to climb those trees and she'll have an obsession with boys.
That's supposed to scare me?
When that day comes, you'll be frantic.
What's this?
Something to give you vitality.
You think I need vitality?
That's what it says on the bottle.
Is it pure?
We're his supplier. You want to try some?
Well, if it's pure, how could I refuse? Oh, your father was by to see me today.
Oh. There's another hard luck case.
4 children at home, all under the age of 6.
And let me guess. The mother's in the hospital with cancer.
Yes.
And the father, laid off from the brickyard,
Yes.
through no fault of his own.
How did you know?
Dad was by to see me yesterday. It's never enough for that man just to have ordinary ambitions. You've got to have a mission in life.
And you do?
No, I have a business plan.
You can't tell me you wouldn't help this man if you could.
I could, sure. I can't give him a job that doesn't exist.
What about Dan Clayton?
Dan?
Maybe he could use some help.
In the laboratory. He needs a trained technician, not a bricklayer. Why don't you bring him to Mrs. Middleton? Don't you women have a social club for things like this?
You mean the Women's Club Civics Committee?
Right.
the club takes an interest in such cases, but we're not an employment service either. Which is why I thought maybe you could help him.
Well, you do love being married to the company president, don't you?
Has its advantages.
You ever think of trading it in?
Do you?
The other day, I got my shoes shut. As I sat there, I watched the boy working. And I thought to myself, this is quite the enterprise. The work walks in, the work walks out. There's no inventory, no warehouse, no stock price, no health inspector.
And you trade all of it in for your own shoe shine stand.
Well, fewer headaches that way.
So you're in one of those moods again. What is it this time? Can't beat the market. Not today.
So now you're reading the financial pages?
I have to entertain myself somehow. So, what happened today? You're being very strange.
Am I? I'm sorry.
You can tell me, you know.
Nothing to tell. Really. It's gonna be our best year yet.
Oh, so it's the prospect of success you find so disheartening.
I'll get my checkbook.
Whatever for.
Your bricklayer.
Artie! That man needs a job, not charity. What is it your father always says? A working man needs to work. Wears in his soul.
Yeah, it wears on his soul not to work. Oh, okay. Well, if it's a matter of his soul, I guess that's a different story. I'll talk to you.
Artie.
But I make no promises, Diane.
No promises.
To your home.
How long you had this drainage? About a week or so. Heard something awful after that. Anything else bothering you? My back hurts some too. You're back now. Have you seen your regular doctor? He says it's just nerves. Nerves? About my wedding and all. They say no case of nerves. Hope you told them that. What do you think? Think you better schedule that surgery? Couldn't we put it off a little? Until after my wedding? You don't have that surgery. You won't have no wedding. Huh? Miss Fryer, I want you to listen to me. Your jawbone is decaying. That's the blood pus oozing out of your gums. It's the bone itself. That's impossible.
To Mr. Arthur Reeder, U.S. Radium Corporation from Cecil Drinker, Harvard University. Closes our report.
No, finally.
We suspect the trouble in your plant due to the radium.
Radium?
It couldn't be as bad as all that.
This can't be.
Put off the surgery and you could develop a septic condition. It could be fatal.
The blood changes in your employees can be explained on no other grounds.
Everything that I've got. I've saved for my wedding.
Photographic images carried by your employees show heavy fogging.
Well, I got a suggestion for you.
We suspect high levels of gamma radiation throughout the entire plant.
Go to the radium plant and explain your situation. Go to the company?
We understand that no proof can be offered to President.
Once they see what kind of shape you're in,
This is impossible.
they gotta feel obligated to help you out.
But in view of the material and literature,
It's a mistake.
the facts disclosed in the investigation,
I don't see how they could refuse.
we advise immediate and drastic remedial action.
Look, if you want, I'll write to them for you. They can work through me. Just pay my bills directly.
You think they do that?
They got a moral obligation, don't you think?
Charlie!
I guess so. We'll do it right now. I'll get some paper.
He's wrong. That's all. He's wrong. He has to be wrong. Charlie, he has to be wrong.
He must have overlooked something.
There's a new ailment being caused by radium, which occur generally throughout the plant.
One would expect.
There are several hundred milligrams of radium solution in the big vats at all times. Several hundred in crystallizing, and several hundred in all.
The entire backyard is filled with tailings.
Radium is present in good amounts all across the plant.
If it is radium, the instance of illness should occur hides in the laboratory, and no one there is sick. Then perhaps some kind of combination of the radium and the zinc.
Maybe it's just something peculiar to our plant alone.
Some kind of bacteria, perhaps, in the brushes?
It can't be radium. There are dozens of application plants all across the country. No one's ever reported anything like this.
The Department of Labor wants to see the report.
Yes, I'm aware.
What do we do? This tears us to pieces. How do we answer it?
Well, you want to see the report? Just show them the first page.
One page?
Most important page.
Drinker will never stand for this.
Yeah, but Drinker works for us. That's a proprietary report, and what we do with it is our business.
But the Department of Labor,
We just need time, Charlie. Just a little bit of time. They could shut us down for this. Scientists and government men have no idea what it takes to run a business. Von Sashaki thought advertising was a dirty word. He laughed at the very idea of promotion. I can't tell you how many times I walked into that man's office, and he turned a deaf ear to everything I had to say. We showed him, Charlie. We showed him. I mean, look at us. We are the world's largest single supplier of radium. Do you know what it took for us to get there? Do you really think that I'm going to stand idly by and watch our good name be dragged through the mud? You just got to trust me on this one, Charlie.
Dr. Flynn, it's awful nice of you to come all this way.
Not at all, my dear. Not at all.
I told the surgeon you was coming over here. So, he sent me the results of my blood work.
Excellent.
And so,
I must say, Miss Pryor, your blood looks better than mine.
it does.
That's what happens to an old man that smokes. Now tell me, what else is troubling you?
My feet and back are mostly. I've had to wear a brace for a while.
So I see. And this started before you left the company or after?
After I left. Dr. Neff says that this all has to do with the radium company. I knew a girl that worked there and died from it. Irene Rudolph?
Oh yes. Terrible thing. Vincent's angina.
What's that?
That's an ulcerated condition of the mouth, my dear.
From the radium?
Oh, no. It's an unfortunate and rare result of poor dental care. Let this be a lesson to you. Always brush your teeth.
There's something else in the papers about this. About other girls who got sick. One of them I worked with for a while. She's in the hospital in New York, and the doctors don't know what to do. They've never seen anything like it.
Miss Pryor, don't tell me you're paying attention to those papers. They're not scientific.
But
Reporters are not scientific. They do not follow scientific methods. They are to sell, not to educate. The scientist is not concerned with what sells. He's concerned with the truth. He undertakes years of painstaking studies to arrive at an understanding of intricate natural processes that most people can never presume to comprehend. You would do well to listen to science and ignore the nonsense printed in the newspapers. Because I can tell you right now, radium has nothing to do with what's ailing you.
it doesn't.
Not in the least.
Then what's ailing me?
Poor diet, Miss Pryor. Poor diet.
But Dr. Neff said...
Dr. Neff is a dentist, not a physician. What you have is a vitamin deficiency. You must eat more fresh fruit.
Hard to do in the winter.
And raw meat as well. They'll help the anemia. Raw calf's liver is particularly. Cook it if you must, but eat it twice a week at a minimum. No. I'm a scientist, Miss Pryor. I take a purely scientific interest in this situation. By allowing me to examine you, you are helping me to advance my own studies. I thank you. Call me anytime, day or night.
Okay, Dr. Flynn. Thanks.
Happy to be of service, my dear.
Dr. Frederick Flynn, PhD, Physiology, Columbia University. PhD? That's not a real doctor.
I'm fine, Mr. Reader.
He's seen half a dozen girls who used to work at the plant. Word I hear, he's working for the company.
It was an objective evaluation, we trust.
The source of my funding has no bearing on my research.
Why would that fella examine me?
I didn't examine her, per se. It was not a medical examination, per se.
Well, nevertheless, you were able to offer her some useful advice. Isn't that so?
I did my best for her.
Every girl he sees, it's the same thing. Nothing wrong with you.
Your blood's better than mine, he says.
Now, how are you coming on the rest of the report?
The animal studies I conducted revealed no adverse effects of radium. The problem, as you suspected, is one of personal hygiene only.
I can't believe somebody would do something like that. Straight up lie to you.
Nothing surprises me.
It's exactly the way you said, Catherine. These people, they'll do anything. They'll say anything.
Accept the right thing.
Well, we're gonna make them, Catherine. We're gonna make sure somebody hears about this.
I am most grateful, Dr. Flynn, but I'm even more thankful to hear that the young lady that you examined is doing so much better.
I didn't examine her. No. No, I merely consulted her.
Well, it's all the same to me. She's doing much better, isn't that so?
From what I can see, Mr. Reader, she appears to be on the road to recovery.
Wonderful.
Here's my statement of fees and expenses.
Mr. Lee will draw you a check.
And so I leave you with this one thought. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have to accept injustice. We can use our power as consumers to influence the practice of those who wish to profit from our patronage. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Wiley. And thank you to the New Jersey Consumers League for another job well done. This concludes our program for this evening. I don't think we have time for questions, but we hope you will join us next door for some light refreshments.
Want anything?
My throat's really bad.
Can I help you, miss?
I'm here to see Miss Wiley.
You're not a member of the Women's Club.
No,
Are
ma'am.
you a guest of a member?
No, ma'am,
Then I'm
but
sure Miss Wiley would be happy to see you during the regular business hours.
I'm not leaving until I see Miss Wiley.
It's all right, Mrs. Middleton. It's fine. You must be Miss Pryor?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Young in the health department. She told me that I should come talk to you. I know I should have stopped by your office, but I've missed a lot of work recently and didn't want to miss no more.
There's no need to apologize. I've been meaning to call on you myself, actually.
Me and Catherine, we wrote to the company about our troubles, but we never heard anything back. So we went to go see a couple lawyers, but they all said that they couldn't help because it's been so long since we left the company. Something about the law won't allow it?
The statute of limitations.
Right. One lawyer said that he tried to sue anyhow, but he wants $1,000 up front. I've already spent everything that I've saved for my wedding. Doctors, dentists, hospitals, and I still don't know what's wrong exactly. And Tom, that's my fella. He says that he don't care. He wants to get married anyhow. But I just wonder, what good would I do to him like this? Miss Wiley, if I could just get some compensation, I could settle my debts and then maybe I wouldn't feel like I was having Tom such a burden. I'm sorry to ramble on you about all of this. I'm just so tired of being pushed around.
I don't blame you.
Miss Young at the health department, she said the Consumer League has, what did she call it?
Clout? I'd like to think so. We've certainly had our share of successes.
So, can you help us then?
Tell me, Miss Pryor, just how far are you willing to go?
Ma'am?
Suppose I do find a lawyer, one willing to take on a contingency that you wouldn't have to pay unless you won. Would you be willing to sue then?
I want my compensation.
Of course you do. Now suppose the company says, here's some money for you, Miss Pryor. Only yours to tell no one what we've agreed to. You're to tell no one how you got sick.
Keep it quiet, you mean?
Yes,
That doesn't seem right.
it isn't right, but that's what they'll do. They'll try to buy your silence. Is it for sale, Miss Fryer?
No. No, ma'am, it is not.
Good.
So, you'll help us then?
I think I can help you if you're willing to take some chances.
Chances?
Let's set aside your personal needs, just for the moment, and we can stop this company. We can stop them dead in their tracks.
What do I have to do?
We start by putting you on page 1.
Page 1. You want her to talk to the newspaper?
Not just one newspaper, many, many newspapers.
Are we sure this is really necessary? Only once for Grace to get her
Let
conference.
us finish.
I understand your concerns, but this company has already shown the experience it's willing to go to protect itself. I'm afraid the only way we'll get to them is to hit them where it hurts, their public image. When every newspaper in America tells your story, how sorely you were treated, how deeply you suffered, how the company denied all responsibility, when that happens, Miss Fryer, Arthur Reeder will come to the table with his hat in his hands.
All right, Miss Wiley.
I know it's a little frightening.
It's okay. Right now, I'm more angry than I am scared.
Good. You hold on to that anger, but don't let anyone else see it.
Ma'am?
Public sympathy. That's our strongest weapon. And the public doesn't have much sympathy for an angry woman.
December 4th, 1927, Jack Gentleman here with the Newark Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan, the graphic.
The strange case of the Radium Girls.
Who claimed they were poisoned at the hands of their employer.
And now see their day in court.
$250,000?
That's the price tag on their suffering.
$250,000?
If you ask me, it's all sham.
What do you mean? Those girls are very sick.
Sick of working? Sure. Doctors say the Radium Girls only have a year to live.
1 year to live and 250 grand to spend. What would you do with that kind of money?
What would you do with $250,000? Ease your suffering in your last few days on this planet.
I buy a wardrobe like I read castles.
I'd give it all to charity.
And then I travel around the world, first class, with all my friends.
I'd play the stock market.
I'd buy a fur coat for my mother and a diamond the size of New Hampshire.
I'd use it to pay off my medical bills. And to pay off the second mortgage on my home. The one my father took out for my last operation.
Pretty Grace Fire sits at home,
Suffering bravely through this terrible deal.
struggling valiantly to keep up with flighting spirits.
For the sake of her family and friends.
It hurts to smile, but I try to smile. I know that if I don't smile, I'll go crazy.
Tell us, Miss Fryer, how does it feel knowing you have so little time left?
I try not to think about it.
Must get to you sometimes.
You know what you've been through?
Company's getting fed up with your labor.
And all they have to say about it is,
No comment.
Don't you just want to punch somebody?
Oh no, that won't do no good. I'd rather just think about how it's gonna be when justice prevails. Then I could do something nice for the folks. Maybe send them on a trip. They never did have no honeymoon.
What a fine example of womanhood. We can only aspire to bear our cross in nobly life as this young girl.
Mr. Barry, I must object to this kind of histrionics.
I had nothing to do with that, Mr. Markley.
I've been in the game a long time, Mr. Barry. When I see a story like this, move on to the lawyers. I'm not so naive to think a plaintiff's attorney has nothing to do with it.
What's your proposal, Mr. Markley?
$1,500 for each girl.
$1,500?
That's not even a year's wages.
We think it's very generous, considering your case will survive the statute of limitations.
This is a case in equity, sir. The Chancery Court will come to a very different conclusion.
The Chancery Court can't rewrite the law, and the law is clear. 2 years from the date of injury. Your clients are out of time.
2 years from the date the cause of injury is discovered.
Very clever, Mr. Barry. Very creative. I must admire your imagination. But you've a long way before you convince the judge.
And in the meantime, Mr. Markley, the press will continue to take a great interest in the story and of the company's complete indifference to its workers.
No doubt this will prove to be good press for the Consumers League, and you accuse us of exploiting these girls.
You're the one hiding behind the statute of limitations.
Hiding, Miss Wiley?
You know very well the law could have never anticipated a situation like this. These girls were dying years before anyone knew the cause.
Before anyone knew. Does that include the U.S. Radium Corporation, Miss Wiley? When, or should I say if, this case goes to trial, I only hope that's your opening argument. You'll have made our defense. See you at the hearing.
The arrogance of that man.
Tell me again the purpose of these articles, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. That's the engine of reform.
You're antagonizing the company.
Then the strategy is working.
And what about the girls? How does it help them to read in a dozen different newspapers that they have such little time to live?
Mr. Barry, surely you can see that the U.S. Radium Corporation cares nothing about the girls that it's poisoned, but the average housewife in Orange cares very deeply, and so do millions of others across America. These women shop, they buy watches. Markley can be as smug as he likes, but the Consumers League campaign will lead to only one outcome, and he knows it. That's why he was here today.
I only hope you're right, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. wait and see.
Dear me, Schwab, I've read every sad story in the Boston Globe, and I'm so sorry for your plight. It seems in this time of rapid advancement, the well-being of the average worker is overlooked. I would like to share with you girls the key to my own good health at age 92. It is called Christian Science.
Dear Miss Fryer, I read of your woeful situation in the Atlanta Constitution, and I'm prepared to offer you a solution. Venison, a wonder tonic made from all natural ingredients. Venison will restore your health and vitality. We are prepared to offer you girls a lifetime supply of venison in exchange for the exclusive rights to use your pictures in our advertisements.
Dear girl, I read about you in the Billings Gazette. I heard 100 head of cattle up here, and I do pretty well for myself. I've always longed for a companion. Well, I think I'm well equipped to offer you a comfortable home. A girl like you who suffers so much, don't you think you deserve a few fleeting hours of happiness? Sincerely, your admirer. Internet Walters. P.S. Close my picture.
Look at this one, Catherine. This man actually sent a picture. You alright, Catherine?
Bleeding again.
Shall I get the nurse?
It did this before. It'll stop.
Maybe we should go.
No, don't go.
Don't you need to sleep?
Sleep? Who can sleep? I never sleep.
Well, you'll sleep tomorrow.
Yeah, might not wake up.
Of course you'll wake up.
Not if you don't go too well. Sometimes you don't come out of these things so good. My mother's cousin, she went to the hospital for her appendix, and she didn't come home again.
Well, you just can't think like that. That's all. Look at all this mail, Catherine. Miss Wiley said the folks would be on our side, and she sure was right. Here's one from
What
California.
if we don't win?
Of course we'll win.
But what if we don't? My father will lose his house, and we'll be on the streets. You'll be on the streets too. Your father must owe thousands. And you and Tom will never get married? How do you stand it, Grace?
Catherine, please.
How can Tom stand it? Don't you ever wonder? I don't ever hear him complain.
Catherine! As soon as the judge hears our testimony, he's gonna rule for us. All they have to do is take one look at us. It'll be over in a day.
You think so?
Sure. When I see the kind of shape we're in, we'd be awful hard to ignore. Don't you think?
That'll be something then. Won't it? See the look on Mr. Reader's face when we get on the stand?
Now, do you want to read some more letters?
They didn't have enough vanilla, so I got chocolate instead.
Took you long enough.
Don't get on me. I had 6 people stop me on my way over here, all asking after you.
Wait for me to die.
No one's waiting for you to die.
It's true. One of them called my mother, asking if I had died. When she said no, he sounded disappointed.
Here. Eat a little of this. You'll feel better.
Evening, girls. How about a picture?
For the love of Mike, what are you doing here?
We need a few pictures for the graphics exclusive on the girls.
Exclusive, what are you talking about?
$5,000. That's right. What do you say, Grace? That sound good to you? Think you could use $5,000?
I don't understand.
Perhaps you've heard of Bernard McFadden.
Who, that faith healer?
Herbalist, Mr. Peter, herbalist. Bernard McFadden's patented herbal therapy is just what these girls need to get them back on their feet. And the graphic is willing to pay for it. All we ask is for the exclusive rights to their story from here on out. Here, see for yourself.
So, you want to pay us to go see Bernard McFadden?
Easy money, huh?
Let me see.
Grace, they're serious.
The graphic
father owned the house.
I don't know exactly.
And that last hospital bill was a couple hundred at least.
At least.
Maybe we should think about this.
And all we do is talk to this herbalist fella.
Of course, we'd have to get our money's worth. A series of features with pictures following the course of treatment, illness, recovery, or otherwise, depending on how it goes.
And then you print whatever you want.
Maybe we add a little color. Everyone adds a little color.
See, don't sound so bad.
Maybe we should talk to Miss Wiley about it.
Miss Wiley, what's it to her? You're the ones with bills to pay.
It wouldn't be right to do something like this without talking to Miss Wiley first.
You're a big girl, Grace. Can't you make your own decisions?
Of course I can make my own decisions.
You take the money if it came from the company.
The company owes us a lot more than that.
Yeah, you ever see it?
Grace, maybe we should do it.
You're gonna talk to the reporters anyhow. Might as well get something out of it.
He's right, you know. Why give your story away when people are crazy to read it? Believe me, you girls could cash in big. The day we ran that story on you, bang, sold out of every copy at every newsstand. Everybody can sympathize with the plight of some poor sick girl facing certain death with no hope of fulfillment of motherhood.
I'd like you to go now. My friend is tired. She needs her rest.
Grace, at least think about it.
Sure, think it over. I understand you're worried about what people will say, but you have to think about your own interests here. There is no reason you should get something out of all this. Look out for number one. That's the way. Why sit back and keep your nose clean when everybody else is up to their elbows in it?
Ladies and gentlemen, I've treated a number of the girls who claim they got sick here. One of them, the girl's jaw had rotted so bad, I removed it just by lifting the bone out of her mouth. Would you like to see?
That's okay, doctor.
Perhaps you'd rather look at it on the x-ray. It's an expensive case to treat, and I never did get no compensation. The girl died. Her family never paid.
I sympathize, Dr. Knapp, but what does that have to do with us?
Here it is straight. There's going to be a lot more girls coming out saying they got sick here, so maybe we can do business. I scratch your back, you scratch mine, that sort of thing.
I'm not following you.
Suppose you was to give me a list of all the girls who worked here. I'd see to it there were no more lawsuits.
You think you could cure them?
I'm going to put out a cure, no. I'm saying, I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
How so, Dr. Nash?
I'd examine them for radium necrosis, and then I'd come up with a favorable diagnosis for you. Pyorrhea, say, or something else. Quite a few of the cases will just die a natural death anyway, and the rest we can put off for a while until the statute of limitations kicks in, and it's too late to sue.
To persuade them they haven't got a case against the company?
Exactly. And if it did go to court, I could testify that it was some other problem, and it would be strong testimony coming from the dentist who treated them.
Now, what makes you so sure that these girls will come to you?
They'll come to me quick if I don't charge them then.
Because we'd be paying you.
Exactly right. We understand each other, Mr. Reader.
What exactly are you asking for, Dr. Nash?
I need $10,000 for my trouble so far, and for every girl I agree to see from here on out, $2 per visit, plus expenses for x-rays. I'm suggesting a gentleman's agreement here. Better off if it's not in writing.
No.
All right, we'll put it in writing.
We'll do nothing of the kind. Your proposal is immoral, and we will have nothing to do with it.
Immoral, you say. You're a fine one to be talking about morals.
Mr. Lee,
Once you get your own hired guns ready to testify,
those are expert witnesses.
expert witnesses. Hey, Blackies is more like it. None of them's got the dirt I got. If you're smart, you'll play ball with me. Believe me, there's plenty of other folks interested in the information.
Are you threatening me?
Just a business proposition, Mr. Reader. Just looking my interests, same way you look after yours.
Mr. Lee, see Dr. Neptune.
All right. You don't want to play ball. Fine. But believe me, when all this shakes out, it surely won't be me holding the short end of the stick.
Why don't you all make statements on what just happened? I'm going to send them to the State Dental Society. Then Dr. Neff can see who's playing ball and who isn't.
An excellent idea.
I don't know. Perhaps we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss Neff's proposal.
What do you mean?
We're in a very bad situation here, Mr. Reader.
That's true. Mr. Lee says you're having trouble getting girls to work here.
Yes, and we have lost some contracts because of it,
And it's just going to get worse.
The papers are full of stories about those girls.
making them out to be saints,
And what defense can we put out?
except to say we'll try our case in court.
And in the court of public opinion, we've already lost.
Perhaps we should reconsider. It certainly wouldn't hurt to have testimony from the dentist who treated those girls.
Neff can be very helpful to us. Perhaps we should retain her
Retain her? As what? An extortionist?
as an expert.
Like Dr. Flynn.
Dr. Flynn is a widely respected professor at Columbia University. Dr. Neff is a neighborhood dentist.
But Dr. Flynn treated the girls, didn't he?
He didn't treat them. He consulted with them.
He dispensed medical advice for us.
It wasn't medical advice. It was a scientific opinion, an expert's opinion.
How about this? We retain Neff. We don't put her on the stand. Just so we keep her from testifying for the women.
That's the most important thing. Yes, I agree. That's the most important thing.
Would you agree to something like that, Mr. Reader?
Mr. Reader. Mr. Reader.
Edward, we cannot do this. We cannot get into bed with a woman like Neff.
Arthur's right. We can't do business with Neff.
She could hurt us. We'll have to take steps.
Neff started giving us everything we need. New evidence, ladies and gentlemen. This is grounds for postponement.
Three months to study an x-ray. It's outrageous. And the girls. Did you see the girls? Her eyes, like saucers, staring at me, terrified.
Mr. Barry?
How can the company hold out for 3 more months? Catherine Schwab could hardly make it in the courtroom today. And Grace. You see Grace? She was trying so hard not to cry. Of course, I had all the answers. Go home, girls. Get some rest. It's the best I can do. Get some rest.
You're doing wonderfully, Mr. Barry. This is a difficult case.
I don't understand people like Harvey and Reader. How they can play this kind of game. With those poor girls sitting right there.
Maybe this will help to explain. I received a letter.
You'd think the company would want to take care of this quickly. But Markley, he seems to enjoy the sport of it. Things he can get away with. It's cold. Very cold.
Mr. Barry.
What's this?
It's from Catherine Drinker, Mrs. Cecil Drinker of Harvard. She's an industrial hygienist also. She worked with Dr. Drinker on the study of the radium plant. It was a joint effort, actually.
Well, that's very interesting, Miss Wiley. I've already seen these documents. There's nothing in them that can help us.
You've only seen part of it, Mr. Barry. Please. This is the complete report. Catherine Drinker has been following our story very closely in the papers and was very disturbed to read the last article in the Ledger, the one where Mr. Lee says her study clears the company.
He doctored the report. Reader doctored the report.
Apparently he pulled out one page describing the blood conditions of a dozen employees and passed it off as the whole thing. Doesn't look so bad by itself, does it? But in context, it's a somewhat different story.
We can use this.
That should impress the judge.
Judge, Miss Wiley, I am not going to wait 3 months to make use of this. I want you to get over that contact you have with the New York World. If Reader won't let us present our evidence in court, then he can read about it in the newspaper.
January 12, 1928. Jack Youngwood here for the New Work Lecture.
Nancy Jane Harlan, the graphic.
Radium Girls go to court today.
Radium Girls knock on the doors of justice. Will they be heard?
Poor injured girls face pain,
Disfigurement.
ruin.
And death. And as the
time takes away these precious moments.
A hearing begins in Chancery Court.
The U.S. Radium Corporation demands a postponement,
As plaintiff's attorney, Raymond Berry makes a shocking disclosure,
showing that the company lied to the Department of Labor,
showing that it altered the results of a Harvard study.
concealing the ill effects of its product.
Read all about it in the lecture.
Read about it in the graphic. We care because you care.
Very bad.
You didn't read it?
I make a point not to these days.
Only other people would do the same. Mrs. Mitchell, from across the street, she walked right past me this morning, didn't say a word to me. And I know she saw me. And the woman at the market, and the green grocer, the way they glance at each other. At the club, Mrs. Middleton, the other ladies, whispers.
Why don't you just put this thing away? Read the journal. Saw that here the other day. You can read that.
At the club today, someone actually had the nerve to say to me, "Is it true? Is it true," she said. "Did your husband poison those women?" I said, "Mrs. Cowles, if you think it is true, then why would you speak with me at all?"
I certainly would not associate with a woman whose husband did such things.
Well, what do you want me to say, Diane? I knew I was poisoning people, but I just couldn't stop because I was making too much money? Is that what you want to hear?
I certainly don't want you to say such a thing.
Even if it were true? Especially if it were true?
Is it true?
Is that what you think?
What would you like me to think?
For God's sakes, Diane. Can't you see what's going on? It's Von shocking. He's jealous of our success. He's feeding information to the Consumers League so they can railroad us.
Why would the consumers...
Because they're a bunch of do-gooders, radical women. Half of them are socialists, Reds probably. It's the same thing with that club you belong to.
What?
You were gonna quit that club.
Quit the club?
And you're gonna stop talking to that idiot Mrs. Middleton.
You're
She doesn't
not
know
making
anything.
sense.
None of you women know anything. You don't know anything!
Did you lie to the Department of Labor?
What?
Did you lie?
I didn't lie. I just didn't agree with Drinker's results.
Arthur!
I have a duty to this company.
I can't listen to this.
Diane, I have documents. I have articles. There are people with tumors the size of baseballs. Radium therapy, the tumors disappear. Diane!
I'm tired. I'm going upstairs.
I save lives, Diane. Radium therapy invigorates. You can't possibly think I'm a liar. Can you? Diane.
No.
You can't think that I would do anything to hurt you. Or to hurt Harold.
Certainly not.
Well then,
13 girls have died.
people die every day. The newspapers are full of death reports. There are people that are young, old, infants. Children younger than Harriet die every day.
They worked for you.
And they work other places too. I have a report from Columbia University. There's an expert in industrial hygiene, just like Drinker, who says that there is no connection between radium and those illnesses. Do you want to see the report?
Then what could the cause be?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've done everything I can to find out, but no one knows. You've got to believe me. If you don't believe me, there's no point to anything.
Artie,
Do you remember what you said to me? The day I told my father such a scared kid. And he was an icon. If it weren't for you, I don't think I was about to.
I'm sure you would have, Artie. I know you would have.
And ever since that day, he's been looking for signs. My soul is lost. You don't think that, do you? My soul's lost?
You're a good man, Artie.
I save lives, Diane. I make lives better.
Saved lives.
It's all for you. It always has been. You know that, don't you?
I know.
Please don't let them beat up a reporter. Hey, don't answer it! Arthur!
Is that Mr. Lee?
For God's sakes, Charlie.
I just got the telephone. Someone from the ledger.
This couldn't wait until morning?
I'm sorry. I mean,
Mr. Lee?
it's Dr. Lee.
Dan?
He's dead, Arthur.
What?
He died this morning.
Charlie, that's impossible. I just saw him last week.
He was just here. A month ago. For cards. They were just here.
Marlon's already done the autopsy. He says it was a severe injury.
Blaming the radium?
The ledger's going to run in tomorrow morning. I told the reporter we'd issue a statement by 8 o'clock. That's what he needs it by. So it can run on paper.
Well, when are the services?
Sorry?
The services.
I know nothing.
We should send flowers. Diane?
Of course. I'll call Louise.
Okay, go call Louise.
I should go see her right now. Oh, poor Louise. We should go see her.
I wouldn't do that.
Why ever not?
She's planning to sue.
Louise?
The reporter from the ledger told me she's filing a wrongful death action. I worked up a statement for the paper. Company chemist for 8 years, always in poor health, recently declined.
But Dan was never sickly. He was always sailing around the golf course or garden. Or he kept a beautiful garden.
Charlie, why don't we take care of this tomorrow, all right?
Of course. Sorry to bring you the bad news, Mr. Reader. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Lee.
Charlie can be a bit excessive at times. You've got to say something. I don't know what we're going to say, but you've got to say something. The shareholders will expect it.
You needn't explain.
Sometimes it's
It's
necessary.
fine, Artie. You needn't explain. We're throwing this away right now.
There's a case of it under the sink.
And we'll get rid of that too. I'll have no more of it in the house.
Fine. I'll do it. Diane? I'm in too far to quit.
I really didn't expect you to.
February 21st, 1928. To Mr. Raymond Berry, from Harrison Marlowe, Chief Medical Examiner of Essex County. We have examined the remains of the deceased Amalia Madra, and our studies reveal the following. Radioactive substances are found in large quantities in the lower jaw, upper jaw, and the lumbar vertebrae. No evidence of syphilis was found. Body is radioactive.
Bones of dendro kick off gamma rays.
While Catherine Wiley of Consumers League stirs up new evidence that shows the company lied.
Dr. Neff, a Newark dentist who treated Amalia, has released portions of the jawbone that were removed from her mouth. This x-ray film shows that the jawbone was still radioactive 5 years after the girl died.
Will this make your case?
Will this force a settlement? Make our case? No. This gentleman will make our case.
Last night, in a graphic exclusive, the U.S. founder brings his long silence with a shocking announcement.
Radium is one of the most dangerous substances known to man.
Dr. Bonsa-Shafi, is it true you assisted with the autopsy?
Yeah. And given my expertise in the field of radium extraction, I was able to determine that Miss Masha absorbed enough radium to kill 10 people.
Doctor, what does this say about mild radium therapy? Are you now advising against it?
Radium is responsible for the deaths of these girls. It should be considered a most dangerous substance.
Do you agree with the doctor's prognosis that these girls have only 1 year to live?
From what I've seen, they'll be lucky to last that long.
I'll tell you what we should have done. We should have took those reporters off when we had the chance. That's what we should have done.
$5,000? Don't make me laugh.
We could have talked them up too. Because I'll tell you what, they'd have paid. Tell you what else we should have done.
Stop telling me what we should have done. Lots of things we should have done. Don't do no good to think about it now.
Alright, keep your shirt on.
Which do you think? The red one or the blue one?
What's Barry say? Is he gonna go back to the company?
I like the red one, but it don't fit so good these days.
Is he gonna try and talk the company up a bit?
Miss Wiley says that one more interview will do the job. So I say, what's one more? You know?
It's worth a shot, don't you think? They came up to 5,000. Would you take it then?
Let them come up. I'm not caving in.
It's called a settlement.
A settlement? That's just a way for them to hide.
Let them hide.
Then they win.
So they win. They're gonna win anyways.
Nice. You have so much confidence in me.
Grace, for Christ's sake, you got one lawyer working for nothing. Up against 6 of the lawyers who are getting a bundle. And you think you have a chance?
You know what I found out today? They put lead screens in the laboratories for the technicians. Did they give us lead screens? What do you think? 100 girls in the room and they're gonna spend that kind of money on us?
Grace,
And they want to keep it all quiet.
Grace, what are we
Miss
doing
Wiley
here?
says that they're gonna close down here.
Grace,
And move across the
Grace!
lake and open another factory like nothing ever happened.
Grace, what are we doing here? Thought the idea was we get some money, settle your debts, get a better doctor. We get on with things.
Get on with things?
Grace, you're still wearing my ring. Grace, there's a house up on my brother's neighborhood. 2 rooms up, 2 rooms down. It's not much, but it's a start. Plus, you already like it. It's got flower wallpaper. The best part of all, it's only 3 blocks from school.
The school? What do we need with the school?
Playing headphones.
Tommy, what do you think is gonna happen after all this is over? Do you think that everything's just gonna go back to the way it was?
I wouldn't have.
I've got to see the surgeon.
Uh-huh.
I've got some fluid in. He's gonna drain it.
Okay.
And then he says there'll be more.
So we'll deal with it when it
And
comes.
then more.
my home. I'm too old to be living this in-between life. I promise I will do whatever it takes to make it easy for you.
Here,
Oh, come on.
I should have given it back a while ago.
I don't want it.
Tommy, please. Are you gonna make me say it?
You're just not getting enough sleep, that's all. You need to get some rest. I'll come back and see you tomorrow.
Tommy.
You get some rest.
Tommy! Don't you dare do this to me, Tommy! Tommy!
Arthur? Oh, Charlie.
Are you headed home?
Charlie, I've been thinking it over. I think we're taking the wrong approach here. We've got to settle this case. I think the girls are not what they can accept.
No, Arthur, we agreed. We need definitive victory, otherwise we fight more of the same nonsense.
Well, things have changed.
Arthur, I know you and Dean were close, but you can't let that cloud your judgment.
Von Sashaki is going to testify.
We can deal with it.
Ah,
Put more money in his pocket.
you want to bribe him?
Not a bribe. Consideration.
Consideration.
For an expert witness, whoever Barry's paying him will offer more.
You don't understand guilt, do you, Charlie?
Right now, I don't have the luxury of thinking about it.
Well, let me tell you something. A guilty man has a tremendous need to unburden himself. His guilt can eat away at him. That's what Von Sashaki is doing here. He's trying to free himself. That's why he's testifying for those girls. That's why he will never testify for us, no matter how much consideration you offer.
Settle with these girls, and you have to settle with all the others. Nev was right about that. This is just the beginning.
Tell Markley to get in touch with Barry and get a
Arthur, for
conversation.
God's sake, what are you trying to do to me? You want to wipe me out?
I'm just trying to get this off the table.
Every penny. Every penny I put by in the last 7 years, I've sunk into this company. You know why? Because of you. Because you said it was a sure thing, no miss. Why work for Von Sashaki? We can work for ourselves. Remember that one? Take a chance, Charlie. Take a chance.
Charlie, we were fooled. Von Sashaki fooled us all. Now all we can do is try and get this off the table the best we can.
Do this, and it's the end, Arthur.
You're stepping down, Charlie?
Not me.
Well,
Don't you know? They are one vote away from getting you off the board.
and whose vote is that, Charlie?
Arthur, have you sold faith?
I'll still be a stockholder. And I'll still be on board. You don't have enough votes to get me off the board.
You'll still be on the hook if this company goes under. Think about that next time your conscience starts to bother you.
March 15th, 1928, to Raymond Berry, attorney at law, from Edward Markley, counsel, U.S. Radio. One of our expert witnesses has encountered a serious scheduling error which makes it impossible for him to appear in April. We have therefore requested an extension until June. As for a request of settlement, every case has some humanitarian aspect. Therefore, this can't be the basis of solving this one. But I have no doubt you'll be rewarded for your good work, if not in this life, then the next.
Please,
Rise and shine.
Madam Curie,
No complaining. Good soldiers don't complain.
But I'm dying.
Who is it?
Get up, Grace. Irene, get up, sleepyhead. You won't make quota like that. But it's not fair. I'm only 26. I should be married by now. Have children, my own home.
We all have to make sacrifices sometimes. I know I did.
Why? Why must we make sacrifices?
It's all for science, Grace. Science, family, every life is sacrificed to something, just a matter of choosing which.
But I didn't get to choose. I didn't have no choice.
Sure you did, Grace. Sure you did.
Catherine, don't. Catherine?
Oh, now look at her, Grace. She's bleeding all over the dials.
I'm so sorry, Catherine. Guess I shouldn't have said anything.
Oh well, what's one more dead dial painter?
Huh?
Grace?
Mama?
Grace, Mr. Markley will be here any minute.
Mr. Markley?
He's bringing the papers by for you to sign. Did you fall asleep?
Has Miss Wiley been by?
Miss Wiley?
About Catherine. She said she might stop by. Did she stop by?
She might have.
Don't you know?
Someone came to the door a little while ago. Your brother answered, I think. Look, Grace, you gotta get ready.
They took Catherine back to the hospital last night.
I know, dear. I know. Once we finish up with Mr. Markley, we'll head over there and see how she's doing.
I dreamt she died.
Grace, don't speak such things.
If she dies, it's all over.
We're 3 months behind on our mortgage, Grace.
I know.
They can't let this go on.
$1,500. Not even a year's wages.
It's better than nothing, ain't it?
Is that all I'm worth to you? Better than nothing?
Of course not, sweetheart. But we've got to be realistic. At the rate things are going, you'll never make it in the courtroom. And even if you do, you know you can't win.
Mr. Barry thinks we can.
Mr. Barry ain't paying the bills. We've got the bank, the doctor, the coal man. We can't go around asking people to treat us like charity just because you're sick.
I'm not asking for charity, Mom. I just want what's owed to me.
Look, I know it feels like you're letting Catherine down, but if she were to take the company's offer, you wouldn't hold against her, would you? No, you wouldn't. So we'll take the check, pay the bills, and whatever's left, you and Tom can have. A little something to get you started.
There's nothing to start, Mom.
Why do you have to be so hard on Tommy?
Mom, please don't.
You know, he just can't face the thought of you not being with us.
I have to face it. Why can't he?
Put a comb through your hair, Grace.
$250,000. What would you do with $250,000, Miss Fryer? I could only imagine. No point to it. Mom, you didn't tell me we had mail. New Mexico. They just keep writing. She was here. Miss Wiley was here. Mom, Miss Wiley was here this morning. She left me a note.
Miss Fryer, Edward Markley.
Now said you brought the papers?
Yes, the terms are explained as we said in our letter. $1,500 for you. Got the check right here. It's in AAA.
Grace, Mr. Markley is a very busy man.
Oh no, please. Take your time. Look it over carefully. If you'd like, I can leave it and come back tomorrow.
No, we'll do this now.
What's hold harmless?
You agree to hold the company harmless for any further actions.
No more lawsuits.
Correct.
Is that just for me or anybody in my family?
Your entire family. It precludes a wrongful death action also.
This is a confidential settlement.
Yes.
You didn't say nothing about this being a confidential settlement.
It's standard for most cases. We like to protect our privacy and protect yours also. cuts both ways. You agree to keep silent about the terms of the settlement, and so do we.
That seems fair.
Need a pen?
I have another question.
Grace, Mr. Markley already explained the settlement to you.
Mom,
I don't mind.
what's contributory negligence, Mr. Markley? It's not in this one, it's in those other papers that you filed. During the lawsuit, the Radium Company said that its defense was the statute of limitations and contributory negligence.
I'm not sure what you're asking, Miss Fryer.
It means it's our fault. Total.
It's a standard defense, Miss Fryer. I wouldn't take it personally.
How else am I supposed to take it?
Mr. Markley, Grace has had an awful headache all day. If you believe them papers,
Maybe he could just answer the question.
why are you doing this, Grace?
Why didn't you tell me Miss Wiley came by?
You had already made up your mind. She only tried to talk you out of it.
What did she say about Catherine?
Mr. Markley, I'll take them papers.
Mom, what did she say about Catherine?
She said it don't look good.
Perhaps I should come back when Miss Fryer's feeling better.
You haven't answered my question yet, Mr. Markley. And I would really like an answer. Because let me tell you, I quit school at 15. Because my folks needed the money. At your factory, they told us what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. My folks didn't raise me to make no trouble. So I never made any trouble. I always did what I was told. I never asked questions. How do you get contributory negligence out of that?
As I said, it's a standard defense.
There's nothing standard about what happened to me.
We deeply regret your situation, but there's no evidence that ties in your condition with any actions by the company.
And why are you giving me this money?
It's a humanitarian gesture.
A humanitarian gesture?
Mr. Markley, leave the papers.
Humanitarian? Month after month, you put us off. Delay after delay. Knowing how sick we were. How tired and desperate. Humanitarian? You were just waiting for us to die.
Grace, please, stop.
Mom, one by one, I watched my friends get sick and die in the most horrible ways. Do you think I should just be grateful? For whatever spare change they throw at me?
Mrs. Fryer, this is a very generous offer under the circumstances, and I advise you to take it because it won't be on the table for very long.
What do you mean?
If Miss Fryer doesn't sign within 24 hours, we will be forced to withdraw our offer permanently.
Grace,
He's lying.
I beg your pardon, miss?
You mean to tell me that if I don't sign these papers right now, that I come back a week from now and say I changed my mind, you'd still rather go to court? You'd still risk some judge get a look at me and take your chances that I won't win on sympathy alone? 24 hours? You're just trying to bully me.
Very well then, Miss Fryer. I'll take that as a no, and we'll see you in court.
Yes, you will. You will see me. Even if they have to carry me in there, you'll see me. You and Mr. Reader both.
you called that man back now.
Mom, I'm going to court.
Why are you doing this? What are you trying to prove?
I want them to look at me. I want them to look at me and explain how it's my fault. I got sick working in their factory.
And what's that going to get you? What?
Mom, all my life, I've always done what others have told me to do. I quit school because you said I should. I put that paintbrush in my mouth because Mrs. McNeil said I should. I never once said, please, can't I finish school? I never once said, I don't like the taste of this paint. I never argued. Even though I knew, Mom, I knew that something wasn't right. hairbrush and comb on the dresser. So much light, Mom. So much light. And I never once questioned. I never once asked. Don't you see? They knew I wouldn't. That's what they were counting on.
Arthur, I wasn't expecting you.
I left messages with your housekeeper. I know you got them.
As we are no longer in business, I thought it best not.
So that's what this is about.
Perhaps we should have a seat.
You never said a word about that paint being dangerous. Not to me, not to Dan.
I didn't know.
You didn't know. You invented the paint. You didn't know?
I didn't know until it was too late, Arthur.
How can you lie like that? I should put you through the wall.
Perhaps you should, but you will not. Sit down, take a deep breath, and you will calm yourself.
I was not the technical man. You were the technical
Yeah,
man.
I was the technical man. Sit down, Arthur.
I sold watches, for Christ's sake. I was a salesman.
A good salesman. Quite a head for business. Not so much for society. Was business very smart. Of course, you can find ways to cut the costs without losing the quality. That's a gift, Arthur. Now, what were you going to speak into?
Jesus Christ. What's the matter with your hand?
Head spends its way for some time now.
You've been dipping your fingers in ink?
Dipping some in ink? Oh, how fond of the pretty story you are, Arthur. If only it were ink. No. Dr. Buckman says it's in the process of the tissue, the cells. They are dying. Bit dilated, started in the jaw. Bit mean. Sad.
I had no idea.
Well, should you have? It's been ever so long since we've seen each other.
How long is
Oh, no, I've known for some time. Miss Wiley of the Consumers League persuaded me to assist Dr. Buckman in testing diabetes with radium exposure. I have many people around here now who do that sort of thing, so she came to me, knowing that I had the expertise, of course, the equipment to do it. I didn't want to believe it either. I didn't want to believe that the girls came across the sake for working with Mike. I wanted to show her it was some kind of mistake. So I agreed in helping Dr. Martin conduct expired lab tests on the girls. That's when I found out. When my old breath registered as radioactive. And then my fingers began to turn black. Now, you wish to have words with me.
I'm sorry.
Perhaps you yourself should set up an appointment with Dr. Martin.
Me? What for?
Arthur, did you not notice the growing dust on your shoes when you went home at night?
Sure. Track the dust all over the house.
Well, then you can be sure that a good deal of it is now within your lungs. Does this look familiar?
It's our promotional piece.
Excellent promotion. Say, how many new sales did that week book account?
I didn't track it exactly, but I'd like to think it helped with our success in the run of our bid.
Page 76.
What?
The last chapter. Open it. Read it to me if you would.
Radium. Dangerous effect.
Dangerous effects. Now, how many articles do you have listed? 10 or maybe 15?
18 books.
18. And how far back do they go? That's these articles.
1906.
1906. Now, Arthur, Continue. When you go into court, you then testify that you had no idea the radium was dangerous.
Of course.
How do you plan to do that, Arthur, when your own book says that it was? How can you say that you didn't know?
I never really read it.
What's that?
I never really... I just glanced at the galleries. I never read the book.
How do you mean? You never read the book.
It was a standard arrangement. An outside company prepared the piece, and they were responsible for its contents.
Which you never read.
I think you'll find, Mr. Berry, that very few company presidents actually read their own promotions word for word.
The book has your name on it. You authorized its release, and you had final approval of content.
Mr. Lee was responsible for our promotional efforts at the time. I entrusted those duties to him.
Now, Mr. Reader, you testified that you started the U.S. Radium Corporation in 1918,
Yes, as plant manager.
and you held that position for how long?
4 years.
4 years. And in those 4 years, how often did you go to the studio?
Every day.
Every day. So you must have seen the girls pointing brushes on the lips.
I do not recall.
You're telling me that you went into the studio every day for 4 years and not once saw a single girl put a brush on her mouth?
As I said, I do not recall.
What do you recall, Mr. Reader? You're an awfully young man to have such a faulty memory. Objection! I withdraw. No more questions.
Your witness, Mr. Markley.
We have no questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, gentlemen, please approach. I'm ready to issue my ruling.
Your Honor, you're yet to make a defense.
I understand that, Mr. Markley, but this proceeding is to determine standing. I've heard enough these last 2 days to make that determination. The radium in the bones of these girls is an ongoing source of poison in their system, and nothing your witnesses can say will change that, will it?
Our witnesses are prepared to testify that the company could not have known about the dangers.
Mr. Markley, in the interest of justice, I ask that the defense rest without calling forth their witness. We will conclude this hearing today and schedule the case for trial.
All right, Your Honor.
Fine. I therefore rule that the statute of limitations has not been exhausted, and these girls have standing to sue.
Your Honor, one thing. I have a full schedule of 2 cases pending, and a witness will not be available until September. Your Honor! I'm sorry, Your Honor, but my chief expert witness is associated with the Institute of Higher Learning. This is the busiest time of the year for him. We cannot expect him to appear. Your Honor, Mr. Markley is the one responsible for that situation. He's the one who's demanding continuous delays. Your Honor, we've just waived our right to present a witness at this hearing. Surely you will not force us to make a defense without the presence of our expert witness.
All right, Mr. Markley. Trial is set for September. This hearing is adjourned.
Evan, why can't Flynn appear?
He's gone to Europe.
Europe? He's known about this for months. Why would he do that? Oh. It's very clever, Edward. How long do you plan to keep this up?
As long as necessary. Mr. Markley, Mr. Barry, congratulations. I didn't think the court would go for it. But you know we can't wait until September. One of these girls is so ill she can't even make it in court. My client has the right to make his defense. We will not wait until September. I promise you that, sir. One way or another, we will find room on the docket. Your expert witness be damned!
The girl over there stared at me.
I won't worry about it.
She thinks it's personal, that I planned it somehow. How do I make her understand that this is not my plan?
You don't. You don't make her understand. You don't talk to her.
She looks like death, Edward.
They all look like death out here.
Grace. That man is like, you won't even look at me. You will never look at me.
Marlin for the graphic.
Jack Epperman for the ledger.
Raymond Berry seeks trial date for early summer.
As the U.S. Radium Corporation announces a settlement.
A settlement?
$10,000 cash for each girl, $12 a week for life.
$12 a week?
Read all about it in the ledger.
The U.S. Radium Corporation has agreed to pay the full medical expenses of each and every girl for the remainder of their lives. And the girls have also agreed to commit to periodic physical examinations by a panel of physicians yet to be appointed. Questions?
What led to the settlement?
Was it an admission of responsibility?
What about other pending cases?
It was purely for humanitarian reasons that the company has agreed to the settlement. We admit no liability whatsoever.
Where does the company go from here?
The U.S. Radium Corporation is pleased what brought this lengthy litigation to a close. Looks forward to many more years serving this community and its customers. And that's C.D. Lee, President.
Catherine Wiley of the New Jersey Consumers League. Our press statement.
Were you pleased with the outcome, Ms. Wiley?
Finally, these girls have received some compensation for their suffering. But more importantly, the issue of radium poisoning has been brought to public attention.
Thank you, Ms. Wiley.
The spelling, by the way, is Wiley with one L and Catherine with a K.
Well, Edward, it looks like we're back in business.
What's your game plan?
Oh, didn't I tell you? I got a buyer for all the tailings that I'm piling up behind the building on Baldwin Street.
Oh,
Yeah, some contractor in Montclair needs a little assistance.
that's perfect.
No, Catherine. This won't do. We can't see your name. There. That's better. Well, Catherine, I brought my paints today. Such a beautiful day, too. The trees are starting to change. It's still warm. Too warm for a sweater, anyways. Not much of a breeze. A perfect day to paint.
Thought I might find you up here.
You were right.
Quiet up here.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess if you can rest in peace, this is the place to do it, huh?
I guess so.
What do you call that?
Watercolors. I'm a little weak when it comes to landscapes, though.
No, it's good. Grace, it's nice.
The first thing I bought with the settlement then was some watercolors. And oils, too.
Did he expand her?
Then I bought a car.
I didn't know you knew how to drive.
I don't. My brother's gonna teach me. He drove me up here today.
You know, Grace, if you want to learn how to drive, I'll teach you.
You've got other things to worry about now, Tommy.
You hear about that?
Orange just isn't that big.
I want to come by myself. That's why I came today.
It's alright. I'm happy for you. For the both of you.
No hard feelings then?
You think I got time for that?
You know, Grace, glad things worked out for you. I mean, are you glad? You don't think that you backed down too soon, do you?
We didn't back down. They did.
Papa?
Who's over here?
Oh, not this again.
This is where I saw her for the last time.
This is morbid, Papa.
We stood there for some time. She didn't notice me at first, but then something made her look up.
Oh my.
No wonder Mama never goes for drives with you anymore. If this is how you spend your Sundays.
She looked at me, so I looked away.
Just like at the courthouse that day. He can't even look at me.
You need to find another hobby. Retirement just isn't good for you.
My heart began to pound. I never knew what I would say to her if I had the chance. And there I was, I had the chance.
So what did you say?
I couldn't bring myself to speak.
It's as if he's afraid to look at me.
I had my chance, and I couldn't speak.
He's afraid of me.
Oh, Papa. That was years ago. Why don't you just forget about it? It's not like it was your fault. Nobody knew about things like that. Then, science just wasn't as advanced the way it is now.
I think back on those days, and I try to think, how could it have happened? I remember so clearly climbing the stairs at the studio at Oldham Street. Those wide, high windows at the top. The way the light would shine on the floor. And how the floor would creak underneath my feet. I remember the smell of the place. It was chalky, like an old schoolroom. And those girls. They were schoolgirls, really. All dressed in their plain green smocks. Bent to the task. Their delicate little hands moving so quickly. No man could have worked the way those girls did. So careful. So fast. Their brushes would fly from the paint to the dials to the paint to their lips. Try as I might, Harriet. Try as I might. I cannot remember their faces. I never even saw their faces.
Cliff, we good? Oh, there it is. Where's Emily? Hi, welcome to our Saturday night closing show of the Radium Girls. I'm H. I got to deal with this for the last 7 weeks of my life. We're going to introduce you to some seniors here in a second, give you a little insights to the show and the story and things like that. But before we do that, can you guys split a little bit? And can everybody wearing a shirt like me step forward? Okay, feeling your noise now. These people do a tireless amount of work. There's a couple back there behind you guys too, and you don't get to see their faces all the time, and that's intentional. Sometimes it's because we don't want to see them. Other times it is, well, they look like Trevor. So our tech kids do a lot of work for us. They're unseen, and I think that the unique thing of our school is basically from the time the show starts, I do a pre-show out there, and I walk out the door. I don't walk back in again, basically to the end of the show. Our productions are 100% student produced, student done. We've got students doing lights, students doing sound, everything's here. I'm basically just back in this back hallway in case something drastically goes wrong. Thankfully this year I didn't have to break the 40-yard speed record this time. So everything went really smooth, and I think our tech kids give a huge round of applause. They deserve one of those, especially. I'll talk about Maddie in a second too. Maddie was our stage manager for the show. So this time you guys get to slide back down, just slide. And can we have all of our seniors step down stage, please? Okay, let's make sure we counted to 12 right. This is wrong, we could deal it off. So I'm gonna walk out here 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Good, we didn't count wrong. Nice job. Usually I forget one, we didn't forget one this year. So Radium Girls is an interesting story. Let me give you a little insight to how we picked it. Usually I try my best to disassociate myself as much with theater and stuff I do in the summertime. We don't look for shows until we get back to school, which generally is probably a bad decision. But we sit there, we look for shows. Emily Davis, my student director here, comes in over the summer, just a one, I think we met in the summertime here, the start of school once, and then we sat down multiple times once school started. And you're trying to find the right show and the right pick and all this other stuff. And we looked at a ton of things and nothing really clicked. And then we came across Radium Girls and we both read the first 5 pages or so and we're like, it's pretty decent. And then we read the rest of it and it was like, this is the show for sure. And then we tried to figure out how to make it unique and different. And we were sitting in my office and the first thing I did is I drew a thrust. And that's what this piece is here. And I said, we're gonna rip out some seats. I ran it by Mr. Vanderbilt very quickly because if there's anything I've learned in this job, forgiveness is much easier than permission. So we ripped out some seats. Unfortunately, we had a casualty where we stored seats one day. They're okay. They just got a busted lid, but they're okay now. So we did that, and then we looked into how we could do the set and stuff like that with projections and stuff, and we just started running with it. And then we added the footlights. We made these footlights this about a week and a half ago. Got them up and running. It's just try to find things to put it in your face a little bit. And then we never expected to have roughly 300 people here tonight. Usually when we do a fall play, a good sellout crowd is about 200 to 250, which I still think is a shame. I really appreciate you guys are all here, but our kids on stage work tirelessly for 7.5 weeks on this, and they get 4 days at it. And it's very different than sports. I coach a girls' sport in the spring. I'm associated with all our sports with our athletic leadership council, and those teams you get 3 months of the season, and you play 18 games, 10 games, 12 games, whatever it may be. We get 4 days done. So the dedication that they put in, the time they put in, I couldn't be more proud of what we put on stage today. We found out too, I'm sitting looking at stuff on Thursday, and I found out we missed an important date on Wednesday, which is interesting. Wednesday was actually the birthday of Marie Curie. So it's sort of weird how at opening night and Marie Curie's birthday sort of coincides with this story. And this show is 100% real and true, and you get to see these names and see these characters and realize that the characters you see here on stage are real life people that happened almost 80, 90 years ago now. And it's such a realistic perspective on what changed. We made some things a little different. We looked at how things were, and we wanted to make sure Sam's character was absolutely the worst person in the world. And we did a pretty good job of that. Sam does a good job on his own. But we do a pretty good job. And we just try to add little tiny details, and then the kids absolutely ran with it 100%. So a big credit goes to them and what they've done. A big credit goes to our parents that support us too, that let us do this and work for hours and put time in and be flexible, because we threw a curveball this week and we responded to it pretty good. Before I get to seniors and all that stuff, I do want to acknowledge Emily. Emily is our student director. I mentioned her name earlier. Emily is extremely dedicated to what she does, and then stresses out a lot too. And there's no other place to stress out than when you've got 35 high school kids running a show. And Emily does a great job keeping her head in. She's the one that designed her program. She's the one that came up with some ideas for things. Then she's on stage, way up high, and doing that stuff. And what she's done in the last, basically, her schedule is about 8 to 10 weeks of work compared to the 7.5 weeks, I think is tremendous, and I appreciate everything you did for us. So, now why most of you probably come here tonight, senior night, we have a lot of alumni in the crowd. If you do me a favor real quick, if you're an alumni, just put your hand up really quick of our program. And I think of our program, our theater program, been on stage here, if you look around, there's hands up all over. I think it's absolutely tremendous that our alumni come back all the time. We had one come back this morning for the matinee show. She's an RA at Central Michigan. She was on duty, got somebody to cover her shift for 4 hours so she could drive down an hour, see the show for 2 hours, and then drive back. That's awesome for me that they want to come down and be a part of our show, and I really appreciate all of our alumni. And now these kids here get to join that crowd here in a few minutes. Yeah, it's weird. I know, it's heart-wrenching. So, let me introduce you to some seniors. When I say your name, come down here, we'll give you a little rose. Emily will try her best to fight back more tears, or we're going to do some stuff. On stage, I believe for the first time in high school, I could screw this up, we have a couple newcomers to the stage. I think there's 2, if I'm correct. 3? Oh yeah, it's true. So 3 newcomers to the stage, 2 newcomers to the show. So let's start with this a little bit. So we'll give you some newcomers to the stage. Absolutely a blast to work with. Comedic, funny timing, great stuff. You can see his YouTube special on our Cedar Springs TV live page if you want to do that too. And he got up here and did a fantastic job for us. And that's Mr. Dylan Patterson. Also on stage, the interesting consideration is he's made some changes because before we cast him in the show, I had to have a conversation with him. I was like, are we good? Committed? He's like, I'm committed, we're good. And everything's changed since then, and he's done a great job for us. Got out here and absolutely laid it on the line for us, and that's Mr. Jacob Meredith. Also in their first show, not on stage, they got to sit up there for the whole time by themselves in probably like an 85-degree sauna. That tech booth is extremely warm. They sat up there, focused, and if you know this kid, to be uber focused is awesome. And this kid cranked it out and sat up there and got better and better and better and better, and revamped sort of his schedule to be a part of this and work with us too, and that's Mr. Trevor Reed. And also new to the stage a little bit in the auditorium, she sat back behind the screen the whole time we controlled all our projections with the help of Shannon, but not only the first time on stage, but really she's only been in America for a few months too. And I love getting foreign kids in. We call them foreign kids. It's not a bad thing. It's just how it is. And I'm going to try to not slaughter your last name, so I'm going to do my best at this. This is Miss Eben Benedictson. No? How do you say it?
Ben Dixon.
There it is, Ben Dixon. That's better. Is that better? Got it. All right, let me bounce through the mix a little bit. I'm going to skip around. I'm not going to do any order and how things work. This kid spent a lot of his time there where Cliff is. Cliff, wave to everybody. Say hi. There's Cliff. Cliff. Cliff's up there. This kid spent a lot of time there, a lot of time up there, and a lot of time there, but even more time getting yelled at by me. There's multiple moments where I've had yelled at this kid up there. Last year, during Adam's family, we had a moment. But he keeps on coming back, and this year audition got on stage for the first time, and I think did a tremendous job. That's Mr. Austin Kibbe. I got more people to introduce though. They want to go home and all this stuff. So it bounced around a little bit. Down in the end, been in a whole bunch of stuff. I think she was in the musical Green Ones last year. This year we come back to life. Still plays this old lady really well. Does a fantastic job. Great energy backstage. Tons of fun. Always smiling. And that's Miss Madison Griffin. What are we doing? We're line down there. This kid bounced around, has been on some stage a little bit, 110 stories, took a break, got back here this year, realized that this is something he wanted to do, and dedicated himself, sacrificed some time. We adjusted roles all the way up until about 2 weeks ago for him. And I think his shining star moment was the cowboy hat right in the middle of the stage. And I'm pretty sure Hannah would agree in that one. And that's Mr. Mason Francis. Should have walked out with a cowboy hat. That would have been awkward. And it was really awkward. I'm going on to the side down there. On stage a few times throughout high school, took a break, came back, done some stuff there, works tirelessly in here. One of the best attitudes in here. She said she's not going to cry, and my goal is to make her cry before the end of the year. It's probably not going to happen tonight, but we're going to try to work on it a little bit. And that's Miss Katia Corwin. So moving down, skipping up here. Those are basically two peas in a pod, by the way. They started their career on stage, I think in 110, they're not 110 stories, up and down staircase, which we did a while ago, and then took a break as well. It's like, hey, let's give it a shot. And they end up here playing opposite each other a little bit, and sharing the stage again. And that's Miss Maddie Huntoon. Skip down here. Maddie, try to step forward. Maddie loves being the center of attention. That's not true. She gets really awkward. So Maddie Titus has been working with our tech stuff for a long time, and then she decided to do an independent study with me because she decides that tech feeder might be something she wants to go into. So when that happens, I'm like, all right, good luck. And we sent Maddie to MCC. She took classes on homecoming morning. She was there for 3 hours, getting some classes done, learning some stuff. Coming in here, she's learned some stuff on her whiteboard that I don't even know how to do yet. And she's tirelessly back here doing stuff. She's not really the yeller and the demander. She's more the sneaky, strong-willed, that face happens and most people get scared. But she's done a lot for us. She works in here a lot for everything. And without her, this doesn't go as well as it does. And that's Miss Maddie Titus.
Do you want one?
Yeah, sure, if you want to. You're the one to try to fist bump me. That leaves me at 2, right? Ms. Vinton, step forward. So when we do shows and we audition things and we feel like we do stuff, you hope that people can step up and do great things. And when you get things going, I talked to her in the morning, we put the audition of the cast list out before, and I was like, all right, just so you know, this is a big role. And by big role, I mean she has 272 lines. And that's not like sentences, that's separate individual lines where she speaks. So it's a monologue, whatever, 272. She only got a break for about 4 scenes on stage all the time. And I think the best part I can give you the compliment for Hannah is when she talks, you want to fight for her, you want to listen to her, you want to give her a shoulder to cry on. And I thought the performance she laid out tonight and the last 3 nights is absolutely brilliant. Stand a bit. I think then there was one, right?
Somebody.
I gotta go. So, this is our last senior. We bring him out last. He's a 4 for 4 on stage, been in a whole bunch of stuff. You've got people that are backstage. Kimmy's been a 4 for 4, I think. Tech-wise, oh, you did it, tech-wise? No, you missed one. Yeah, Kimmy missed one. And those year we didn't have any tech stuff, basically. So, but Sam's been on stage for 4 years in her plays, and to do this for his senior year is interesting. Sam's not really the meanest dude in the world. He really isn't. And this character he plays is sort of a jerk, like just absolute thing. And it's a stretch for Sam to do this, and we pushed him a little bit. And I distinctly remember on day 1 of our read through here, we had to make sure that Sam understood what I wanted to do and how we did things. We got up and showed. I apologize, Kaylee, for the bruises that night too. But we started to push Sam that way. And then we decided to come out here and get the thrust out. We had Sam on the seat, sort of right there in the middle. And I'm I'm yelling at Sam, trying to get him to push, trying to do some things, and at that moment you can see him start to get it. You can see when I ask him questions and challenge his thought process, he starts to understand and internalize it, and then the tears come. Because realistically, the character that he's portraying is roughly responsible for the deaths of a lot of people. That's a hard role to play. And then we twisted curtain call on Tuesday. And the first time they knew a curtain call happened was Tuesday when we did this. So he turns around and we start walking this way. And the pictures you saw were the actual Radium Girls on the screen. For him to see their faces for the first time at that moment was an intention. And that's where I think it even clicked even more. And to see what he's done in 4 years and the growth he's done, he does stuff all over theater in Grand Rapids, and what he does, well, theater is the goal for him. I'm sure it's going to be a lifelong thing as well. And I think it's really important to honor Mr. Sam Hutchinson. It's a good decision. Before we let you guys out of here, I'm going to give you a couple of things. First, I really want to thank our administration and our staff here at Cedar Springs High School and our public schools. Cedar Springs High School still is the only school in Kent County where you can take theater for 4 years. We're a podunk, tiny little small place that everybody thinks we are, but we're really not. We got great stuff going on here, and I would put this performance against anything in any school district around the area. I think the stuff they did today, yesterday, Thursday, and on Wednesday is top notch and second to none. And I put them up against anybody. I think that's fantastic. With the administration, this is the first show we've ever had where everybody on stage was mic'd as well. And that's because our district office, we had to do some things with the FCC because they sold some bands. That's a long story. But our finance department got everything figured out right away and sped rush everything in. And all the microphones actually came in way earlier than they were supposed to. We got them in on Wednesday and we were able to use those so you could actually hear everything, which is great. And I think that stuff up there, so our new superintendent, Scott Smith, Jeff Malik, our director of finance, Joe Spy, and our administration here, and Ron Bearwald, and Jeremy Bear-Wise, and Mike Duffy. Fantastic people. Thank you very much for them. I don't know if any of them are here, but I want to say a round of applause. There you go. So there's one more up there too. Realistically, the last 4 or 5 years, there's a person that's helped out a ton here and is actually directing the musical as well. And without her, we wouldn't be where we are because she takes out the stress of the costume stuff and that stuff. And we've teamed up a little bit in the last year and a half, and we're gonna do some more stuff this year. The lady up there, I'm guessing that's what she yelled at. I can't see up there. That's Rebecca Casavant. So. She's super excited because next time this stage is hers. They're going to do auditions here in about 3 weeks, am I right? 3 weeks. The Winter Musical is going to be the first weekend in February like it normally is. You're going to see Little Shop of Horrors. And it's going to be a big musical piece. There's a huge giant 7-foot puppet you'll see on stage, which is great. If you haven't seen it, it's the old 1980s show with Rick Moranis. It's awesome. The music's fantastic. Our kids should be super excited about it. I'm super excited about it because I like it. And I think you're going to see some great stuff here. I don't think I missed anything, did I? Well, I don't care about me, so I should have been on time. So, I really appreciate you guys coming out here and doing the stuff, putting up with our stuff, realizing the seats are there. We thank you so much for coming out here. I need to go back there because we got to turn the lights on in a second. Because as we go through stuff. But I really appreciate it. Come back and see more stuff. Come back in February and see Little Shop. Because these kids deserve all the support you can give them. Because no matter what goes on, small town community and small town stuff requires support from everybody. Our community, our school, our teachers, our staff, our parents, and without that, we don't have this, and this is one of the best things going on in this building, I guarantee it. Thanks, folks.